Over 100 years ago, in 1903, the Wright brothers had their first successful flight of the airplane. This was a revolutionary day for mankind, as it opened up an entire new level of transportation for humanity. No longer were we limited to the ground for transportation, but we can now send something from point A to point B in the air more safely and more efficiently. When we look at airplane technology today, airplanes are great for getting large amounts of people really far distances quickly, but they only work in upper airspaces. But we still have lower and medium airspaces working as well. So we have ground, we have high altitude, but what about that gap? And so as humanity, we're limiting ourselves to the usable space that we have. This is where drones come in. Drones are able to satisfy the usage of the remaining airspace between the ground and airplanes to maximize our potential of transportation. As well, drones have other technologies that they can leverage in order to help with humanity with different functions that I'll talk a bit later. The drone industry is growing rapidly, with new functions and technologies being applied to expand the size, the utility, and the efficiency and safety of drones. However, there's no system in place to regulate drone usage, which means that drones can only fly at a certain height and a certain range, because there's no system in place that prevents them, for example, from crashing with each other. They can't communicate with each other or other people. So what we propose is a system that connects these drones in an air traffic system, where we have a roadmap, kind of an arbitrary roadmap that drones must follow in which they can communicate with themselves. So we look at NASA. They're actually developing something that allows drones to be able to do this. They want to make this road frame that we could then implement. Currently, drones use radio waves to send and transmit their information back to the pilot. But we can also use these radio waves to transmit information to other drones. And this is something that we can use really efficiently, really quickly, just with a bit of software. So this process would be completely autonomous and completely decentralized, allowing drones to communicate with each other and not have to worry about pilot error. So applications for drones are something that have been really untouched because we have limited access to use drones. Drones can be used in so many different areas that we haven't tapped into yet because there's no infrastructure to use them effectively. When we look outside and we look at all the traffic, this can be mitigated so easily. We think everyone shares the same road network, even though they're doing different tasks on the road. For example, we have a commuter driving all the way from the suburbs to try to get into the city. But we also have the local mailman trying to deliver the mail. Why don't we use different layers and different systems to do these different processes? The mailman can deliver his mail using a drone. The grocery store can deliver their food to the customer using a drone. We can limit the amount of road usage, alleviating traffic exponentially. As well, we can use different layers of airspace. We're not just limited to one dimension, right? Traffic is just flat. But with drones, we can have different layers of usable space, which means we can have smaller and slower vehicles in lower altitudes, but we can have faster and bigger equipment in higher airspaces, which makes it more safe and more efficient. As well, we see applications to drones that are emerging. We see satellites that can track weather patterns or soil contents for farmers. But we can attach these to drones as well for small scale projects. A farmer in a local community can determine what the quality of the soil is by using a drone. Or we see in a YouTube trend, there's a race to get to 20 million planted trees before 2020. And we're using drones to do this by mapping out the most efficient places to plant trees so that they can grow sustainably. And we can facilitate this process entirely with drones. And so with drones, we can have an entire network of usable airspace and maximize our potential transit output. So I want to leave you with this image of kind of connected Earth, showing all our cities and everything, and how drones kind of resemble that interconnectivity and transportation in an area that we haven't yet considered. Thank you very much.